They just told you their deepest secret, their childhood trauma, or their financial crisis on the second date. Why is this premature vulnerability the biggest red flag? This is the dark psychological paradox of strategic vulnerability dumps, a tactic that forces instant, unearned trust. Today, we're going to dive deep into this because it's something a lot of us have felt, but we just couldn't put a name to it. It's that really weird, unsettling feeling you get when something looks like intimacy, but it feels like manipulation. And understanding this is, well, it's absolutely crucial for protecting ourselves. Yeah, that right there, that's the heart of it all. It's that jarring moment when someone you barely know just unloads a lifetime of pain on you. And what happens? Your empathy kicks in, right? Your heart says, be compassionate, listen, help this person. But at the exact same time, your gut is just screaming that something is seriously off. Well, that feeling, that paradox, it's not a mistake. It's your internal alarm system, and it's detecting a very effective, very sneaky psychological tactic. So let's pull this thing apart, piece by piece, so you can see it for exactly what it is. A calculated move wearing a mask of authenticity. Okay, so here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to tackle that main paradox. Why does an act of trust feel like a warning sign? Then we'll put a name on it. Strategy, not intimacy. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the three-stage mechanism, basically how the trap is set. We'll also look at what drives the manipulator to do this in the first place. And most importantly, we're going to give you a defensive playbook with real, concrete steps. The goal here is simple. By the end, you'll be able to spot the difference between a real connection and a forced one. So, let's start with this core conflict. Look, vulnerability is supposed to be the glue of human connection, right? It's how we build trust, one piece at a time. But when it's just dumped on you way too soon and way too intensely, it feels completely different. It's less of an invitation and more of a demand. Think about it this way. Healthy trust is like building a sturdy bridge. You lay down one plank, then another, you make sure it's safe. A vulnerability dump, that's like trying to teleport you to the other side of a canyon. It's sudden, it's disorienting, and you have no idea if it's safe. That gut feeling you get, it's usually right. This is all about learning to listen to it. This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Because in the moment, that line can feel so blurry. We're taught our whole lives that sharing is good, that being open is how you connect. But the real difference comes down to intent. Genuine sharing is a two-way street. It's about building something together, slowly, as you both start to feel safe. Strategic sharing, that's a one-way transaction. It's designed to get something from you, not build something with you. It has a goal, and that goal is not mutual connection. So let's get a really clear definition on the table. All right, let's put a name to this behavior. We're going to formally define what a strategic vulnerability dump, or SVD, really is. And this isn't just about using fancy terms. Once you can name something, you can see it. You can spot it coming. The whole point here is to draw a thick, bright line between this calculated tactic and the way a real, healthy relationship is supposed to grow. Okay, let's break down these words because they're super important. Covert means it's sneaky. It's disguised as a moment of genuine connection. Disproportionate is your biggest clue. It's just way too much, way too fast for a new relationship. And that word force, that's everything. It's not inviting trust, it's trying to compel it, to back you into a corner. You see this all the time as a key part of love bombing. It's the emotional shock and awe campaign designed to get you to lower your guard as quickly as possible. So, what's the end game? If it's not about connection, what do they want? Well, it's usually one of two things. First, narcissistic supply. They play the victim or the tragic hero, and boom, you're instantly cast as the caretaker. You provide attention, sympathy, you basically prop them up. But the second goal, that's where it gets really dark. Intelligence gathering. By telling you their deepest secrets, they create this immense pressure for you to share yours. And when you do, you're handing over ammunition, your fears, your insecurities, that can and often will be used against you down the road. It's like they trick you into giving them the combination to your own emotional safe. And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. Look at the difference. On one side, you have the real deal, genuine intimacy. It's slow, it's earned, it's a two-way street. It makes you feel safe. On the other side, it's the exact opposite. It's fast and forced. It's a one-sided broadcast of their drama, and it doesn't build safety, it creates emotional debt. It's not about giving and taking. It's purely extractive. It's there to take something from you. One builds a foundation, the other just digs a hole. Okay, so now for the mechanics. How does this actually play out in a conversation? Well, it's not random. It's a pretty predictable three-stage process. Understanding this is like getting your hands on the blueprints for the trap. And once you see the blueprint, you can't unsee it. You can spot the pattern as it's happening and just refuse to play along. Okay, here's how it works. Step 1 is forced reciprocity. They hit you with this intense, heavy story. This triggers a powerful human instinct. When someone gives us something, we feel this deep-seated need to give something back. In a conversation, that means matching their vulnerability. Then comes step 2, the defense bypass. The moment feels so big, so emotional, that your brain gets completely hijacked. You mistake all that intensity for intimacy. Your normal gut check, your get-to-know-you process just gets steamrolled. And that leads right to step 3, rapid entanglement. Now you feel invested. You feel like you owe them. You share deep stuff. And just like that, they've got control. And this right here is the absolute key to the whole thing. The goal is to condition you, to train you, to believe that emotional intensity equals emotional intimacy. But they are not the same thing. Not even close. A real healthy connection feels calm, it feels safe, it's an anchor. This manufactured connection feels like a crisis. It's urgent, chaotic, dramatic, like being caught in a storm. And that feeling of crisis isn't a sign of a deep bond. It's the sound of a trap snapping shut. So we know what it is and how it works, but why? Why do people do this? And maybe more importantly, why is it so effective? To really dismantle this tactic, we've got to understand the psychology on both sides of the coin. What's driving the manipulator, and what vulnerability in the target are they tapping into? This table shows the imbalance perfectly. For the manipulator, it's a low-cost investment. They tell a story, probably one they've told 100 times, and they get this huge payoff, your trust and your emotional access. But for the target, who's often a highly empathetic person, their own kindness becomes the vulnerability. This is what we call the empathy trap. You feel this powerful urge to honor the trust they've supposedly given you. And here's the kicker. When you share back, your brain gives you a little hit of dopamine. You get that warm, fuzzy feeling of connection, which reinforces the whole cycle, even though the connection itself is a setup. Let's really zoom in on this idea of the empathy trap. It's such a perfect description. It's how your best qualities, your compassion, your desire to help, your integrity, get turned into a weapon and used against you. The manipulator doesn't have to break down your door. They use your own empathy to trick you into opening the gate yourself. And listen, this is so important. This is not your fault. It's not a weakness to be a kind person. It's about recognizing that your kindness is a valuable asset and it needs to be protected. Okay, we've dissected the problem. Now let's talk about the solution. This is the empowering part. This is where you take your power back. How do you actually defend against this? What can you do in the moment? This section is your playbook. These are clear, actionable things you can do to protect yourself and make sure that you are the one in charge of your own boundaries. It's a 3-step playbook. Simple. Identify, assert, and audit. First, identify. The second you hear that too much, too soon story, a little red flag has to pop up in your head. You just need to notice it. Second, assert. This is the hard part, I know, but it's crucial. You have to actively fight that urge to share back. You don't have to be rude, but you do have to refuse to take the bait. And third, audit. This is your new personal role. Your vulnerability is earned through time and consistent behavior, not through the intensity of one dramatic conversation. And I'm going to give you the exact words to use. This phrase is your secret weapon. Let's look at it. Thank you for sharing that is polite and neutral. It acknowledges them without validating the tactic. But the second part, I'm not ready to discuss my past in that depth yet, that's a firm, clear, but totally non-confrontational boundary. It stops the reciprocity machine dead. It puts you back in the driver's seat of the conversation. And how they react to that boundary, it'll tell you everything you need to know. So we've gone through the whole thing, the tactic, the psychology behind it, and the defense against it. And it all really boils down to one single, powerful core principle. This is the mindset that will protect you from this, and honestly, from a lot of other kinds of manipulation too. Just let that sink in for a minute. True intimacy, it's not a sudden explosion. It's not some breaking news alert that interrupts your life. It's a quiet, steady, two-way street. It's built through shared laughs, through consistency, through seeing someone show up for you over and over again. It's a slow dance, not a car crash. So as we wrap this up, what's the bottom line? First, you have to recognize a strategic vulnerability dump for what it is. It's not a bid for connection. It's a strategy for access. You now understand how it works. It uses forced reciprocity to bypass your natural defenses so they can get what they want. But here's the good news. Awareness breaks the entire loop. By simply identifying that disproportionate sharing and then asserting your own boundaries about pacing, you change everything. You make sure that your trust, your story, is earned slowly and genuinely, never coerced rapidly. And that right there is how you reclaim your power.